phone screen and froze.
Because you see something.
There was a woman dressed in a white gown or a dress, I want to say, with long, gray-looking hair.
I don't know why I do this, but it's not even intentional. I react to these freaking horror videos when it's this dumb late outside. I don't know why I do that. When I watch everything else, the sun is nice and bright out. But no, for some reason, it just happens to fall this way. But it doesn't matter if I go check out Mr. Nightmare, my freaking favorite when it comes to these horror stories, if I can English. 3 true cemetery horror stories to give you goosebumps. I am hella ready. We got the original video, link in the description below, but let's go. Now this one has to be hella good. There's no way you can go wrong with cemetery horror stories. I'm gonna say something at the end. Oh, to be quiet. This is gonna be hella good.
When I was 19, my friend Sean, who was a big goofball, came over to chill in our basement as he often would during the summer.
That's a nice
I remember
basement.
he had a Coke bottle in his hand and I was eating Wendy's when he said we should check out that creepy little cemetery across town. It was the most random idea ever, and I even told him that. Still, we had no school the next day, and I knew exactly which cemetery he was talking about. I don't know if one should even call it a regular cemetery. It's just a small plot of land with maybe 100 tombstones at most.
Yo, this is so similar
the
to me and my
tombstone's
friend's
very
story
archaic
almost.
looking, and any time we'd pass, there would be no signs of anyone having come to visit within the last decade. The site probably dated back centuries, and it had this super creepy vibe to it because it was closed off by a gothic metal fence, and it was surrounded by woods on 2 sides, the road on one, and some old abandoned building on the other. Everything about it just gave scary vibes. It took a little persuading, but Sean managed to get me to want to check it out too. Ironically, it was a very cloudy, wettish kind of day.
Oh hell no, that's thriller weather.
Sean pulled up his Honda to the side of the road. I told him to pull up more so it wasn't obvious. This was a low traffic road, so it would look kind of suspicious. He pulled up a few hundred feet down the road, and we got out and cut through the woods so that any potential passing traffic wouldn't see us entering the little cemetery. Hopping the fence in the woods was easy. It was maybe a 3 or 4 foot fence.
I am so sorry to stop it, but bro, me and my friend got a story so similar. It's in Texas, and it's a cemetery right by us, and it's so small and it's so old. We can talk at the end.
Sean kind of took the lead on this since it was mainly his venture. He led us through the eerie little plot of land, and we looked at the archaic tombstones.
If you say this is Texas, I'm cutting this off.
They all seemed to be from the 19th century. The writing on some of them was illegible at that point. I know it sounds super dumb and cliche, but I couldn't help but feel like I was being watched constantly.
I bet you was!
I started looking around the surrounding woods. I told Sean how creepy this was. I know, he replied.
Well, let's go!
Still, with the feeling of being watched, I looked at the abandoned building next to the cemetery, at one of the windows. For a brief moment, I knew I saw someone standing at the window, even through the fog, smudge, and dirt on the glass. But they casually either ducked or walked away from the window.
And they know you saw him.
I told Sean we were being watched by someone in the building, and he turned to look at it as well. Then he went to look for the entrance to it.
What?
I told him don't. I said we should just leave before we get in trouble. I stayed still by the tombstone he was looking at while he walked around the building, and then he found a way in.
Oh my God!
He called me over, but I stayed put.
I don't hear you.
Then I heard some loud kind of crack, so I looked in that direction.
Shit.
And there was this older man, probably around 55.
Oh, good.
Gray hair, had on a black raincoat.
Oh, he old.
Wearing jeans, and he had a mustache. But that's all I really got of him. Then he opened his mouth and screamed. Not just yelled, he screamed, "Get out." He screamed it so loud, I thought I saw birds fly away from being startled.
Oh, you demon.
And just like that, I started to feel lightheaded, and suddenly everything went dark. The next thing I remember was waking up to being dragged in the woods. I freaked out thinking I was being kidnapped. But when I turned and got up, I saw it was just Sean.
I knew it.
Sean was freaking out about something. He told me to follow him and run back to the car.
You got a good friend because I left your ass. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, but look, this story is so damn similar to me and my boy. I'm not gonna talk right now. I'm gonna tell you guys at the end because I don't want to take up too much time. But this story is so dang on similar. But look, I'm sorry. Look, you better thank Sean because if it was me, not this old man by me, I'm For one, the first time I see something in the window, I'm dipping. And if he ducks, so he know you saw him. What I'm not gonna do though, I'm not gonna make it obvious. I'm gonna be like this, like if I see you, I'm like, oh shit. But I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna play it off like, yo, let's go check out over here. But I'm gonna be slowly going back to the car. And when I get close, I'm gonna dip to the freaking car. Cloud.
So I didn't ask questions. As we ran through the woods, I heard something close behind me, and when I turned, I realized we were being followed by someone, so I ran even faster.
If he old, man, he can...
We got to his Honda, and he basically put it in drive before the car even had a chance to fully start.
Yep.
When Sean was inside that abandoned building, he found a sigil of Baphomet painted on the wood floor.
I wouldn't even trust Sean
Basically
anymore.
the sign of Satan. Around it were a bunch of freaky dolls with buttons for eyes. He didn't get to see anything else in the building, because he heard the old man scream at me outside. He came running to find me passed out on the floor, and he saw the old man slowly walking over to me. He started to drag me away from the old man and into the woods. He actually literally picked me up and threw me over the fence to get me out.
Oh, Sean strong.
I quickly came back to consciousness, and that's when we ran. I had only fainted one time in my life, and it was at that moment.
You owe Sean.
I don't know why I fainted.
You owe him.
But it happening at a graveyard with some kind of satanic ritual building right next to it makes it that much stranger.
Hey, if all the stories as good as this one, it's an ad anyway. My bad, somebody was at the door. But anyway, what I was gonna say was, if this one is this good, only story one, that means this about to be hella good. Because the other Missing Nightmare that was really, really good to me was the freaking crawl space one. But yo, Sean, that guy is a good friend. He'd been waking up from thank you texts every morning from me. How's your beautiful morning going, sunshine? You staying a friend.
My grandpa passed away a few years ago. I was always very close with him. This past July, on his birthday, I paid him a visit at the cemetery. The cemetery he and my grandma chose to be buried at was about an hour drive from my apartment.
Damn.
My family lived closer, so they all went to his grave together. I had to go separately.
No, we all go together.
It was a rainy, depressing day.
Oh, no.
And there's nothing worse than visiting a cemetery on a gloomy day. The gatekeeper of the gate asked for the plot number. I gave it to him, and he let me in.
My bad. It's everybody at my door today.
It's a pretty big cemetery, and I'd only been there a couple other times. Not as the driver, though, so I had a hard time finding it. I didn't see many other people, if any, at the cemetery.
Was it at least light?
I'm sure the weather had something to do with it. Eventually, I found his stone and parked my car in the grass to the side. I put some flowers down under his stone, stood there for a while with my eyes closed, and prayed.
Somebody gonna touch him.
When I finished my prayer, I opened my eyes and looked up.
Shit.
There was an old man standing about 5 rows of graves down, but directly across from me, and he was looking right at me. I knew this man, though.
This is your grit.
My grandfather.
Shit!
But no, it couldn't be. I rubbed my eyes, and he was gone. Did I just have a spiritual moment?
Why would you go to the cemetery by
Or were
yourself?
my eyes and mind playing tricks on me? Either way, I got the chills and I had goosebumps. I was quite honestly freaked out. I got back in my car, said, "Love you, Grandpa," and drove off.
He goes, I love you back.
I felt like I had a headache on my way home. Not sure why. I was the only car on Prospect Road, a quiet road with dense forest on either side. Commonly, there would be deer crossing here.
I wouldn't even go to that cemetery.
As my car zipped down the road, I spotted someone on the side of the
I'm not
road
stopping.
coming up, which was odd. There were no sidewalks or a walking path on this road. I slowed down, and it couldn't be. It looked like my grandpa again.
Yep.
When I realized this, my heart dropped 1,000 feet.
I'm right
I
past you.
swerved the car accidentally. I desperately tried to regain control and come to a stop. Luckily, my car didn't end up in a tree. Rather, just skidded out in the middle of the road until coming to a halt.
And go again.
I immediately looked back to where I saw him, and I saw a deer on the side of the road, looking at my car. My heart was literally racing. I was terrified. I was not well, and I needed to get home. I made sure no cars were coming and got back in my lane. I focused on the road as best I could, given what I had just seen twice. I felt weird the rest of the day. Not sick, but something wasn't right.
Man, this
with my
spirit
head.
is following you.
Went to bed early after watching an episode of my show.
What show?
I woke up at like 2 in the morning to my phone ringing.
It's your
It
grandpa.
was an unknown number. My heart started racing.
If I'm at a cemetery and I see my grandpa and then I get ready to go home and I see him again, If I go home, and for one, if I live alone, I'm not going home. I'm going to a friend's house. I'm gonna stay there for like a week. And I get an unknown call at 2 in the morning, you will be a fool to answer. My mom would instantly already know, like, I'm not answering that. Look, for one, I'm driving past you, Grandpa. I'm sorry, I love you, but look, right now you haunting me. And then I know it's you calling.
To bed early after watching an episode of my show. I woke up at like 2 in the morning to my phone ringing. It was an unknown number.
Grandpa, stop calling me!
My heart started racing again. Any call at this hour couldn't be good news.
Yep, I said the same thing.
I accepted the call and put the phone up to my ear.
I do not want to get a call that late.
There was static on the other end.
Don't listen
Finally,
to it.
I said, hello? More static. But what I thought I heard next, I couldn't believe. Just briefly, for maybe half a second, I thought I heard my grandpa's voice over the static.
I don't want to listen to that.
I tried to say hello again, but I was too shook. Every part of my body was actually shaking. Then the call cut to silence and ended. I called my phone provider the next day to trace the number.
What the heck? What Verizon gonna do?
They didn't have enough data to trace it, apparently. Though I don't know if that was just bullshit or not. The events that took place that day and night were the scariest I've ever experienced. Do I think my dead grandpa was trying to contact me? I don't know, because that sounds ridiculous. You'd think if you experienced something like this, you'd be so full of emotion and joy.
Who?
No, it still terrifies me, and I really still don't know what to think or how to feel about it.
Ain't no way I feel joy from that.
Whether it sounds ridiculous or not, this happened, and I wonder almost every other night, was that really my grandpa on the phone?
I'm sorry, Grandpa. We gotta cut this relationship because I tried to be nice and go visit you, but you haunting me. So we ain't gonna work. I see why Grandma was cheating on you, boy. You crazy. I'm sorry.
My friends and I were very stupid when we were teenagers.
Facts. We were too.
I was like 17 or 18 when this happened.
Sometime I think I still am.
It was the month of October, and I wanted to do something scary in the spirit of Halloween. There's a small cemetery about 10 minutes from where I live. And when I was drunk with a couple friends, I said we should sneak into it. I'll make up some names for my friends, Ryan and Mike.
I'm cutting this shit off. I ain't cutting this shit off. Okay. So remember I was like, I'm gonna tell you guys a story at the end. I know this is a different story. My story with my friend, his name is Ryan. I swear to God on everything, I love 100,000%. I was just texting him. I'll even show you his name on my phone to show you I'm not lying. But anyway, really quick, let me just tell you this story now. Okay, in Texas, my family, they stay on the plantation. There's this little cemetery right across the street. It's small. It's really freaking small. And all the graves are so old and out. The dates are like 1800s and early 1900s, which really freaked me out at the beginning. That's why I was like, if he's like freaking Texas, I'm cutting this off. Me and my boy Ryan went in there one day. I'm gonna tell you what happened at the end. I'm not gonna tell the full story right now because we're gonna get back to the video. My story was me and my boy Ryan. He said, I'm gonna make up a name. Out of all the names, he pulled out Ryan.
Friends,
Wow.
I said we should sneak into it. I'll make up some
Well, the other
names
name
for
will
my
be
friends,
Charles, Charlie.
Ryan and Mike.
Oh, good. Thank you.
We were at Ryan's house. He didn't drink ever. So when I came up with the idea, he was the one to drive us to the cemetery. Mike and I were really the ones leading this. Ryan was just along for the ride. But then again, he hadn't been drinking. Ryan parked in some parking lot across the street. It was a ghost town because it was past midnight at that point.
So it's a ghost town and a cemetery? Hell no.
We made sure no one was around to see us as we hopped the fence into the cemetery. It wasn't exactly pitch black out, but it was slightly hard to see more than 10 feet in front of us. So we were all using our iPhone flashlights. There didn't appear to be any night security in the cemetery. So we kind of dispersed from each other.
I'd have quit. Did he?
Ryan seemed to be following Mike more closely. I could still see where they were because of their flashlights. I went off a little further on my own, and I decided I'd start taking a creepy video. So I started recording with the light still on, of course. I recorded a bunch of old headstones and the general eerie vibe of the cemetery at night. I didn't see Mike and Ryan anymore, so I started to go look for them.
Yeah, now you about to wake up dead.
I looked at my phone screen and froze.
Because you see something.
There was a woman dressed in a white gown or a dress, I want to say, with long, gray-looking hair. She was looking down at the ground.
Oh my god. That's the end of this video, oh my god. Mr. Nightmare, you never played jump scares, bro. Why the hell did you do that? My bad, my camera was dead. But anyway, bro, this one, I was right. This one was hella freaking good. And I'm sorry, look, there's no way I'm splitting up. If we go to a cemetery at night, I don't care how tough we are. I don't care how tough you are as my boy. We are holding hands 24/7. You can call me gay all you want. Guess what? We're going to be gay for the next 10 minutes while we're here. Because I'm not letting go of your hand. I'm holding your hand like this tight. We not splitting up. And if anything feel like it's dragging you, guess what? It's dragging me too. Because look, or if anything dragging me, it's taking you too. Because my guy, I am not letting go. We are not splitting up. And if something happen that does happen, or something pull you away, and we do split up, I'm running to the car. And this is probably where our friendship gonna be over. Because you will hate me. Because I am dipping off in the car by myself. It's a GG. I'm sorry, bro. You can find new friends all you want, but I had to survive. I'm sorry. But like I said, this one was hella good. If you guys enjoyed the video, with the like, comment, share, guys, make that awesome. Until next time, buddies. Charlie's out.